Lovely, I'm into another fish. I've been fishing already for about an hour. And this is a reservoir here, it's called Meadowlands. And this lake reservoir is called Lansdowne. And it's absolutely solid with skimmers and roach. I thought it'd be a good place to come to test my new pole, the Silverlite Plus. Let's just get this fish in the net. Really is lovely fishing. Beautiful, beautiful skimmer. This is typical of the fish we've been catching. And it's not, this is a shallow side of the lake. I'm fishing out at 13 metres. It's only 2 metres deep. There. Typical, lovely big skimmer. Double cast, so there's a few, if I put maggot on, I'm getting a few smaller fish, but that's a beauty. Well over a pound, and that's what, well, I'm after everything really. I want to test the pole out. It's called a Silverlite pole because it's a Silverlite Plus, because it's for catching silver fish, but really I have had this pole a little while and I've caught carp up to 4 or 5 pounds on it. So do you know what, it's a job to break a pole on a fish, but it's just the top kits that make the difference, whether you have a Silverlite or whether you go for a bigger like carp pole. The idea of having a lighter pole is just that for silverfish you can work much quicker. It's stiffer, the carbon is really high class. This pole itself, the standard pole comes 14.5 metres with 5 2.75 top kits, a capping kit, 2 metre long sections, one that fits in the 11.5 metre part of the butt, which would be there. So that's 11.5 and it will make it a 12.5 metre pole. And the other one will fit in the full 14 metre section. I've cupped in ground bait, cupped in balls of ground bait with caster. I can't really put enough feed in, and I've also been cupping in just raw maggots and casters. I weren't even looking then, just dropped it in and the float went. Just checking to make sure I've still got, I'm fishing double caster, there's still one caster on there, but I bet I'll get another fish on it. So I'm cupping in a lot of bait in a tight area, fishing with probably the float you'd think would be overly heavily, 1.5 gram, but I was hoping to drop through the smaller fish and get down to the bottom to get the bigger fish. Just dropping it in. So I'm going right over that ground baited area, picked a marker on the far bank, and then just loose feeding over the top just to attract. It's unbelievable fishing. Just to attract fish in. So I've cupped in to get the fish down and then loose feeding. Fish are always attracted by noise. But the pole itself is so stiff and light, you hardly ever miss a bite. If you're getting a proper bite, you hardly ever miss a bite. I've got a puller bung on this section as well, so I'm not going to swing this fish. I've only got a small hook, and this is a quality roach. 2 quality fish straight away. But I've got a puller bung on here, so I can, if I do hook a big fish, I can just use my puller to net the fish, or even for slightly smaller fish, if I want to swing them, I can use a puller bung just to take up a bit of elastic and swing the fish in. But that, I best not swing in. I better not swing in a 10-ounce roach, had I? Each one of the kits comes with a 3.9 Teflon bush, so it's ideal for the slightly heavier, thicker elastic. So you can go up to, well, you can go up to 3 mil easily. And then the top section is 1.75. So this top, if I pull that apart, I've already fitted mine. So if you want to, you can put your puller bung in that top section. It's called a multi-kit. I like to have mine through the top, so you can just fish off that top section, or else, as I've done mine here, with the reinforced piece, and I put my puller bung on there, just for, I find it's, if you hook a big fish on light elastic, it's handy to have a puller bung in. Don't always need it, but I prefer it. And the bigger bush means your elastic works well. So every pole, all these poles in the UK version, comes with 5 of these multi-kits, 2-piece multi-kits. Because it's quite a thickish, although it's Silverlite, because it's a fairly thick tip, it's stiff. And when you've got a really stiff tip, your elastic will work much better. If that tip flex too much, then as the elastic pulls round, it rubs against the tip and it doesn't work as well. The stiffer the tip, still very slim, the elastic, particularly your hollow elastics, and I'm using today, I'm using a 1.5, I love microbore elastics. It's Browning, of course it's Browning because it's me, but it's a 1.5 microbore elastic, so it's like between a solid elastic and a hollow. It just lasts a bit more than a solid and gives a bit more than a solid elastic too. I'm trying to catch bigger fish, so I'm fishing with double caster on the hook. A good tip when you're fishing with double caster is thread one on the hook, halfway on the hook, and then just with the other caster, just tip it halfway down so that when you look at the bait, it's sort of sitting side by side. Find you hook a lot more fish that way. Double caster usually, if there's a few quality fish about, double cast will usually get you the better roach. And I'm just laying the float in, sort of laying the bait down so that it drops through the water slowly. I'm looking, hopefully, that I can get a bite on the drop as well, but I'm fishing a heavy rig, so. And then just flicking a few casters over that baited area. Fish love noise, they're attracted by noise. You wouldn't think it, but those casters make a lot of noise when they hit the water. Just dropping it in. It's only, where I'm fishing there, it's 2 metres deep, so we're fishing 13 metres out. But there's fish there all the time, sort of lifting. I think there's so many fish, I'm getting line bites and everything. There is a few big carp in here, so I'm sure I'm probably going to hook 1 or 2 of them. This really is a beautiful venue for carp and for silverfish. Just hopefully, and there's fish there all the time. I can see my float just moving a bit. Often I'll just lift the float a little bit like that, just pull it up a little bit, looking for a fish to take it. And then all the time keeping feed going in. Oh, this is a bigger one. Just a bigger skimmer. I mean, it's really good fishing. Now, I'm using a 1.5 microbore elastic. This one is equivalent to like a number 7 in a solid, you'd say. But I find that microbore just lasts a lot longer. And does give more, it will stretch more, so when you hook that big fish, you've got a chance of getting it out. I've got my puller bung in there as well, which helps. Just see the elastic just doing its. When you're on, especially when you're on small hooks, you mustn't have too stiff for elastic. You just lose everything. You've got to, here is a barbless hook rule, so it's just another one of these lovely skimmers. This one looks a bit. Do you know what? This fish was fighting a bit harder, and it looks a bit hybridy, and it is. It's a. Let me have a, if I can show you to camera. If you look at that fish, see it's not like a true skimmer, is it? That was fighting a bit harder, and hybrid, which is a cross between, this one would be a cross between a roach and a bream. They fight harder than a roach and harder than a bream. Yeah, I'm having a great day. Look at that. That is a beautiful fish. Probably, it's over a pound anyway. You can see the elastic doing its job. I'm on a 16 hook. I'm fishing 0.10. It's a Browning hybrid power mono 0.1 hook length and 0.14 main line. The same hybrid power mono. And the carp would break it, but it'd be impossible for a bream or a skimmer or any big roach to break the 010. That's deadly, that way of hooking the caster on. I fish a lot like this on the Norfolk Broads in the summer on the river with a double caster. And if you can see, I've got my Olivet quite high there, and then 3 number 10 droppers. And when I go out, I'm watching that. As I go out, I'm watching that. I watch the Olivet take up, and then watch the 3 droppers. And if they don't settle, then I know that a fish is taking it on the drop. So I'll go out, I'll lay the line on the water like that, keep everything straight. Never get a tangle, and then just loose feed round, watching the float all the time. Loose feed a few casters. I can hear those casters going in from here, so you know the fish can hear them. But there's signs that there's fish there all the time. And as they're skimmers, they don't always take it straight away. Sometimes they'll have to wait just a little while. The water's quite coloured, so they probably don't see the bait that easily. They're just searching around on the bottom amongst that ground bait. Big skimmers, they're the best fish you can catch in a match. Big skimmers. But I'm very impatient there it goes. I'm very impatient if nothing's happening, and I'm moving the float, I'm lifting it, taking the bait out of the water, dropping it in again. But right over that tight area, see there was one on the drop then, right over that tight area where, I'll come in, I had a fish on the drop then, right over that tight area where I've cupped in is where I'm dropping the bait, and the loose feed is just spreading around. That was a roach took it on the drop. But I could see it because it lifted up the droppers. Really is unbelievable fishing. I mean, this is a really big lake. Reservoir. It's an old gravel pit. Deepest part is about 14 foot, I think, down here. So it's not like, it's got as many fish in as you'd expect to find on a commercial water, but it's really quite a natural venue. It's a natural venue, solid with fish. So and they have some brilliant weights here in the matches all through the winter. Some of the matches are won with 50 pound of silverfish, so they have some great weights. Fish there all the time. I went in just then, and the fish took it on the drop, and but it's taken one caster and left the other one there, so I'm just going to leave it out there because I think there's so many fish there it won't make a difference. It's been really calm this morning. It's just the wind's just started to get up a bit. Doesn't make any difference to Bobby though, the fish are still there. This fish took a single caster because that was what was left on the hook. That's how many fish are here. It probably doesn't really matter. It's a small skimmer. Seems to be a real mixture of sizes. This is just a tiny one, look at that. But it's just fabulous fishing. Just hooked. Beautiful fish in perfect condition. This will be a great fish to finish up on. I mean, it's been non-stop action, so a brilliant test for this Silverlite Plus pole of mine, which is a great time to come out and try it. I mean, it's called Silverlite because it's silverfish mainly, but you can catch carp with it. I don't know what I've hooked here, but I've hooked a big fish. But because it's ultra light, ultra stiff, you're hooking most of the bites that you get. And it still is a strong pole. It's a standard length pole, so it's not one of the long poles, it's normal standard length. Might have to use my puller bung here. Definitely. Maybe just a big skimmer. Yeah, it's just a big skimmer. That's when the advantage. You see that elastic works really well. Just keep him down. Yeah, it's one of the biggest skimmers of the day, I think, this one. Definitely shut off. Lovely. Beautiful, what a lovely fish to finish on. Beautiful skimmer. Typical of the fishing today. Real test for this pole, perfect. Loads of fish, super light pole, which is ideal for these sort of fish that we've been catching. Hitting every bite because the pole is stiff. A puller bung if you get the big fish, but even if you want to swing some fish, say you can use a big hook, then you can use your puller just to take up the elastic so you can swing the fish in. What a brilliant day. Don't know what I've caught, a lot of fish. Lovely. Meadowlands Fishery, and this lake reservoir is called Lambsdown. I'm going to be coming back again.